In the first few decades of rock music, the bass guitar served to provide a low end to a band's overall sound. In most cases, the bass would revolve around and reinforce the general chord structure of a song. With a few notable exceptions, it wasn't considered a solo instrument, and it typically didn't carry songs. With the emergence of post-punk music in the late 1970s, the rules and responsibilities of individual instruments within bands began to change. This was true not only for arrangements, but also for compositions. One example of the pre-post-punk approach, if Paul McCartney played a bass line, even on a song that he wrote, it was based around a chord structure, and everything Paul played served to facilitate the progression of the song. But some post-punk bands took a different approach. Joy Division is a great example of a band who didn't write songs thinking about chords. Rather, they often relied on riffs, bits of music played on a specific instrument, often the bass, which in Joy Division's case was played by Peter Hook. The riffs could be, and often were, melodic, and someone looking at Joy Division songs through a music theory lens could find a chord progression hidden in there, but the arrangements didn't emphasize chords per se. They emphasized the feel and energy generated by those riffs. The band members themselves weren't steeped in music theory, so they weren't necessarily even thinking about things like chords. They simply followed the thread laid out by the riffs. Few musicians in the history of popular music had a greater gift for generating memorable, song-defining riffs than Peter Hook. Hook's playing was often the driving force behind the arrangements of Joy Division songs. One of the best examples is She's Lost Control, which is driven by a bass riff played high on the bass, a signature move of Peter Hook that plays a key role in how he changed modern bass playing. The bass riff is the anchor that the rest of the song revolves around. Its almost atonal, gnarly sound sets the stage for the dark undertones of the lyrics and the guitar part. In short, Peter Hook made the bass a key tool of composition, which lessened reliance on chord structures. This allowed songs to deviate from bluesy or other common songwriting approaches and allowed the songs to venture into strange, otherworldly territory. After Joy Division's lead singer Ian Curtis died tragically, the remaining members formed New Order, and the role of the bass continued to evolve into interesting, novel ways. Blue Monday is a great example of this evolution. You could easily be mistaken in thinking that the spaghetti western-inspired riff in Blue Monday is played on a guitar, but it's actually Peter Hook's bass. In the New Order years, Peter Hook's bass was very much a color, almost solo-like instrument, like a lead guitar or a synthesizer. Like on Blue Monday, the typical responsibilities of a bass guitar, covering the low end and providing a pulsing energy throughout the song, are covered by a synth bass. While Hook's bass plays the lead part, beyond using the bass as a compositional tool and a lead instrument, there's another key ingredient that makes Hook so important in the modern history of the bass guitar. Peter Hook might not have been the very first bassist to use chorus on the bass guitar, but he was one of the first and most prominent. And that sound not only defines so much new wave and post-punk music throughout the 80s and 90s, but it's also something you still hear in songs today. From The Cure to Nirvana to Tool, chorus on the bass became a common approach for bassists, and so many of those bands were influenced to some degree by either Joy Division and or New Order. So if you're looking to explore one of the more interesting personalities and influential players in post-punk and new wave, check out Peter Hook's contributions to Joy Division and New Order. You'll hear some of his greatest Joy Division work on songs like Love Will Tear Us Apart, Disorder, and Colony. Then, listen to Dreams Never End, Age of Consent, Ceremony, and Your Silent Face as a sample of his work with New Order. During a time of the most compelling, innovative music in modern history, Peter Hook stands out as a true original who transcended the traditional roles assigned to the instrument and took the bass guitar to another level. If you enjoyed the video, give us a like, subscribe to the channel, or follow our podcast for more deep dives into your favorite music.